Major Mass Effect Trilogy and Andromeda spoilers are ahead, so I'm pretty sure the Benefactor is someone we know, and their identity can be solved by linking a secret Cerberus plan to the Andromeda Initiative. Let's uncover why the Benefactor is likely from Cerberus, which the Initiative's founder Garson first discovered. Before the Initiative left the Milky Way, Garson had met with Cora during the events of Mass Effect Initiation, and during their meeting, Garson subtly connects the Benefactor to Cerberus. In Initiation's climax, it's implied that the Systems Alliance tried to blow up the Hyperion in order to destroy Sam's core. Sam was a key part of the book, with multiple parties trying to steal the AI technology or destroy it like the Alliance. And after Cora asks Garson if the Alliance really attempted to destroy Sam, Garson dropped a subtle Cerberus bombshell, saying this: "The Alliance, home away, homeward soul. In the end, it doesn't really matter. They're all just marching to the baton of an invisible conductor." Now in the book, it's explained that Home Away and Homeward Soul are both human-based corporations or movements. And if we include the Alliance too, that's 3 for 3 on human-based organizations. Closer to the end of Initiation, there's a decrypted message from Homeward Soul with the slogan, "Humans for Humankind," which could literally be the slogan of the most diabolical pro-human group we know. Anything related to pro-human groups has always led back to Cerberus, which means that the invisible conductor who controls these human-centric groups likely belongs to Cerberus. And of course, the invisible conductor is likely code for the Benefactor. So basically, what Garson was implying is that the Benefactor was very likely from Cerberus. And Garson's knowledge of this, along with everything else she knew about the Benefactor, led to her murder.
This is Garson. I don't have much time. Someone's trying to kill me. I've embedded what I know in my VI in the Cultural Center. And whatever happens... Oh god, they're outside the door.
Shortly after arrival to Andromeda, this is the last message Garson ever records. And as to who ordered her killed, her message in the Cultural Center tells us.
For years, there was a silent partner involved with the initiative. The truth is, I was running out of money. Then a Benefactor stepped in. I didn't ask questions. I never met them face to face. That was a mistake. I lied to everyone. Something big spooked them in the Milky Way, and now they're moving 100,000 of us to Andromeda. I hope it's all for the good, but I have my doubts. And now I think they're going to remove me.
The Benefactor killed Garson, not just because she knew of their Cerberus ties, but also because she knew about their massive wealth and their knowledge of the Reapers. When Garson first founded the Andromeda Initiative in 2176, she underestimated how much heading to Andromeda with a multi-species project would cost. And after she ran out of funds, the Benefactor stepped in, mysteriously offering to pay for the rest. They provided no explanation as to their motivations, except for mentioning in 2179 that a storm was coming, and the evidence was clear. Garson had mentioned in her VI message that something spooked the Benefactor enough to move 100,000 people to Andromeda. And even though Garson didn't know what storm was coming, we know. The Benefactor knew about the incoming Reapers, ready to wipe out the Milky Way. But here's the crazy part. The Benefactor knew about this incoming Reaper storm back in 2179, which was 4 years before Shepard knew in 2183. And one of the only groups who definitely knew about the Reaper threat before Shepard was Cerberus, which we see evidence of in the opening scene of Mass Effect 2.
Commander Shepard uncovered the truth.
And still it's not enough.
We're at war. No one wants to admit it, but humanity is under attack.
But they're sending her to fight Geth. Geth! We both know they're not the real threat. The Reapers are still out there.
And it's up to us to stop them.
Both Miranda and the Illusive Man speak as if the incoming Reaper threat was already known to them prior to Shepard's discovery. And the Illusive Man also alludes to this in his first meeting with Shepard.
I thought we'd be meeting face to face.
A necessary precaution. Not unusual for people who know what you and I know.
For people who know what you and I know, sounds like he didn't discover the Reapers from Shepard. He likely already knew about them, and now he's letting Shepard into his ranks. And since Miranda spoke like she knew as well, if the Benefactor is from Cerberus, they'd probably have that knowledge too, as early as 2179. The most crucial connection between the Benefactor and Cerberus, though, is their desperation for Sam's integratable technology. Back in Initiation, when Cora asks Garson if the Andromeda Initiative was just a cover to create an integratable AI, Garson does not deny it. In fact, she goes on to explain that the one thing everyone is after is the thing that Alec Ryder created, with Alec's creation referring to Sam. She continued that the person who orchestrated all of this wants it more than any of us, and is willing to do anything to see it come to life. And if the person who has orchestrated all of this refers to the Benefactor, that implies that they desperately want Sam's implantable technology more than anything else, which matches Cerberus's motivations too. In 2183, Cerberus obtained two crucial pieces to finish building their AI. The first was parts of the rogue VI on Luna, and the second was technology stripped from Sovereign after the Battle of the Citadel. After obtaining both parts, Cerberus was able to complete their AI, which eventually became Edie. And Cerberus's AI projects didn't end there. Following Edie's development, Cerberus then developed a fully functioning android in the form of Dr. Eva Corey. And then, Cerberus took their AI endeavors to the next level. They began integrating Reaper tech into their soldiers, which eventually led to even the Illusive Man integrating himself with Reaper technology in order to try controlling the Reapers. Cerberus's obsession with AI, and especially implantable AI tech, perfectly matches the Benefactor's desperation. So just based on the Benefactor's traits in this list, Cerberus undeniably ticks every box. But we have to stop for a second, because there's one trait on this list that is somewhat questionable: the Benefactor's massive amount of funds. Because if they are from Cerberus, the pro-human group had already blown all their funds bringing Shepard back to life. Or did they? Cerberus using all their credits to bring Shepard back is likely a half-truth. The Lazarus project cost 4 billion credits, which sounds like a lot, but for Cerberus is child's play, which Edie reveals after her blocks are removed.
Cerberus has several legitimate businesses as fronts to support operations. Spending trends indicate that Cerberus has a reliable income of several billion credits per year.
So this means that Cerberus had plenty of billions to spend on the initiative. And then after Shepard's death, they spent their remaining 4 billion credits on the Lazarus project, wiping out all of Cerberus's funds. Once again, the Benefactor being from Cerberus is the most likely outcome. So, who do we know that is from Cerberus, has access to a large amount of funds, knowledge of the Reapers in 2179, and a major obsession with AI? Well, based on this list, it's completely obvious that the Benefactor is 100% the Illusive Man. Or is it? If these were the only traits of the Benefactor, then we could probably conclude the Illusive Man is the correct answer. However, the traits that Garson was aware of aren't the only ones we know. We learned much more about the Benefactor through Alec Ryder's memories, because they trusted Alec the most. Before the Benefactor contacted him, Alec was desperate. His wife Ellen Ryder was diagnosed with a rare disorder with no known cure. She was going to die, and it was going to happen quickly. Alec, however, refused to lose his wife, so he decided to go against council law and develop an artificial intelligence to save her. His AI research was something no one in the Mass Effect universe had done before. The Quarians had developed the Geth as laborers, and even Cerberus was developing Edie as an independent AI with a set location. Alec, however, was creating implantable AI technology in order to enhance Ellen's physiology, which he called Sam. Shortly after a few breakthroughs, though, the Alliance found out about his illegal AI research and dishonorably discharged him. In one fell swoop, Alec's funding had dried up, halting his research and destroying any hope Ellen had of survival. And then, he got a call from the Benefactor saying this.
I'm here. Who are you?
A benefactor, if you like.
You have something to offer me?
A future. For your wife. You're out of money. Your contacts have dried up. You can't finish Sam.
How do you know about...
I can help you. Whatever you need. Where we're going, we'll need a different perspective to understand things.
Where's that? The Andromeda Galaxy?
I have a proposal for you. And Ellen doesn't have much time. Are you interested?
The Benefactor recruited Alec, which we know from Garson was the main point of the initiative all along. They never showed their face, and it's probable that they were using a voice changer. However, despite their cloak and dagger, Alec learned a crucial point about the Benefactor. They told Alec where we're going, which implies that the Benefactor intended to travel with him to Andromeda. This sentiment continued into Ryder's next memory, which involved his good friend and Garrus's father, Castus Vicarian.
This threat, they're called Reapers?
Shepard's word for them. Something about a cycle, an extinction event that happens every 50,000 years galaxy-wide.
I checked around. There might be something to this.
If there is a war, the scramble for resources will be on a scale we've never seen before.
We should accelerate our timetable.
Then we'll keep the reason quiet. No need to alarm anyone. We'll need a new home. We're going to be all that's left of civilization.
In this conversation, we learn a few new traits about the Benefactor that even Garson didn't know. The Benefactor trusted Alec with looking into the Reaper threat, showing just how much they valued him over Garson. But the most important revelations are on how they discuss the upcoming Reaper War. They mention how they don't want to induce panic, which is language that someone in a leadership position would use. And the most important revelation, when they say, "We're going to be all that's left of civilization." The Benefactor wasn't interested in saving the Milky Way. They wanted to escape it, potentially forever. More than anything, this is what rules out the Illusive Man, which he himself explains here.
That's what separates us, Shepard. Where you see a means to destroy, I see a way to control, to dominate and harness the Reaper's power.
The Illusive Man didn't want to run away from the Reapers. He wanted the opposite, to dominate and control them. And on top of that, his final words before dying proved that he was never going to join the initiative.
There. Earth. I wish you could see it like I do, Shepard. It's perfect.
He loved Earth more than anyone, so he was never going to abandon it for Andromeda. And he certainly didn't believe that the Reapers were going to wipe out the Milky Way civilizations. So if the Benefactor isn't the Illusive Man, why do some of the signs point to it being him? I think the key to this dilemma is something relatively simple. The Benefactor isn't the Illusive Man, but everything, from their funding of the initiative to their Reaper knowledge and even their desire for an integratable AI, is because the Illusive Man approved it. Basically, the Benefactor is likely a Cerberus agent carrying out an infiltration of the initiative on behalf of the Illusive Man. If we look at the timeline of events of the Benefactor and the Illusive Man, both of their motivations are completely aligned. Cerberus was founded in 2157 and slowly built power and wealth throughout the 2160s and early 2170s. Then, in the early 2180s, all of their AI projects like Edie and Dr. Eva began. Sometime in the late 2170s, Cerberus gains knowledge of the upcoming Reaper threat, which is exactly when the Benefactor's timeline begins. And if we assume the Benefactor is a Cerberus agent working on behalf of the Illusive Man, everything makes sense. With the vast amount of funds Cerberus had accumulated in the 2160s and 70s, the Benefactor contacts Garson, a wealthy human Cerberus would have been aware of, and offers to fund the rest of the initiative. Then, the Benefactor recruits Alec Ryder shortly after. Alec's implantable AI technology is the actual purpose of launching the initiative, with the secondary goal of escaping the Reaper War. So this timeline implies that Cerberus had developed a completely secret plan that was never explained in the trilogy. In response to the Reaper threat, they were betting on integratable AIs being humanity's future, and were going to infiltrate the initiative and leave the Milky Way. And then, Shepard entered the picture. In 2183, Shepard fought and destroyed the flagship Reaper Sovereign, proving that escape wasn't the only option. The Illusive Man loved Earth, so once he saw this, he likely completely changed his mind and began developing the inklings of another idea. Cerberus's plan A was Andromeda and Sam, but with Shepard, they now had a plan B of either destroying or controlling the Reapers. Within a year of devising plan B though, the Andromeda Initiative launches, escaping just in time before the Reaper War begins. The Benefactor was very likely on one of the arcs that left, carrying out Cerberus's more expensive Plan A of humanity's survival. And while Plan B eventually results in Earth's survival, the Benefactor wouldn't know that. So they continue to carry out Plan A 600 years later, which results in the death of Garson. Now technically, Garson's death is the last event we know of from the Benefactor, except with the information in this timeline, we can easily deduce what they'd likely do next. Murdering Garson was to silence her, but if the Benefactor was a Cerberus agent, this was likely for a second purpose too. Cerberus probably wanted one of their own members to lead the initiative, and they'd also be likely to pursue Sam, since that was the way for humanity to thrive in Andromeda. So if we just go off of these two motivations, who the Benefactor is becomes fairly obvious. However, there is one more piece to this puzzle that really hammers it home. Mass Effect Andromeda has data mined files that reveal secret traits about the Benefactor. And this is one of those files. It says that the mysterious benefactor is female and a character in Alec Ryder's memory flashbacks. They're the secret backer of the entire Andromeda Initiative, who originally hired Alec. She's also a woman, though her face will remain hidden in this game and we'll only hear her voice. And she's a human in her mid-40s and is a major character. I'm not sure how much of this is accurate, since it is a data-mined file, but the likely benefactor candidate fits it regardless. The only person who fits this description and matches all these traits is Foster Addison, the Director of Colonial Affairs. She is most likely the benefactor. Let's start with why Addison fits the most damning trait. She is extremely likely the person who ordered G and Garson to be killed. The Andromeda book Nexus Uprising gives context to what happened after Garson went missing. At one point, the Nexus leadership group wants to go looking for her, which includes everyone but Addison. She is more interested in the succession protocol, acting as if she's already assuming Garson is dead, which also ticks off another trait in the process, making a grab for power just as the benefactor would. What's also pretty damning for Addison is that when the leaders go through the succession protocol, Addison isn't anywhere close to the top of the list. Garson trusted Tan instead, who no one had even heard of, which just goes to show that Garson trusted someone completely off the map compared to an actual director on the leadership team. And then there's the leadership trait. During Garson's murder investigation, Ryder discovers that Garson's murder was faked in a cover-up only a Nexus leader could pull off. It says on her report that she was found in a Nexus apartment with severe burns, similar to others who were killed during the Scourge disaster. Her cause of death is listed as a casualty of the Scourge. However, we know that this is obviously a lie, since Ryder discovers that someone entered Garson's apartment and killed her. And Addison matches two more traits, because she joined the initiative and is in charge of colonization, showing her commitment to not returning to the Milky Way. She is clearly very suspicious, but the one thing that really stands out about her is how much her background matches that of a Cerberus agent. Out of all the directors on the Nexus, we know basically nothing about Addison. Kesh was born on Tuchanka and has a known family member in her grandfather Nakmor Drak. Tyrion Kandros has childhood details on attending boot camp at 15, and we know is related to Nyreen Kandros. Even Tan has Sir Kesh listed as a birthplace, and at least had the trust of Gian Garson. And then there's Addison, who is neither a birthplace listed or any childhood mentions at all. Her codex only lists things related to her career, like how she was previously the chief operations officer for a provincial capital, which literally sounds like the most made-up job ever. And her one connection to someone in Andromeda doesn't make sense either. The one person she claims to know is the pregnant woman Dr. Zoe Kennedy. When the mission is wrapping up, Zoe says that she is naming her child David Edward for an old friend, which implies that Dr. Kennedy knows David Edward Anderson. But that doesn't make any sense. Dr. Kennedy primarily worked on Earth, but Anderson was an N7 who regularly left Earth after he joined the N7 program in his 20s. There's very little chance she would know him. We also never see Dr. Kennedy or her partner in person. They could both be completely made up, just for Addison to have a connection from her Earth days. Addison's lack of history or verifiable connections only further pegs her as someone really shady, which could be because she's a Cerberus agent. We don't directly know if she's wealthy or has Reaper knowledge, but if she is from Cerberus, then the Illusive Man could have easily provided both for her. But what really nails her as the benefactor, though, are the final traits, which she reveals in the very first conversation we have with her.
All right, what happened?
To who?
To whom? And your goddamn father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything. And right now, I just want to know what happened with Alec. Not how he died. I pulled those logs. What happened with Pathfinder?
Her first concern isn't Alec, it's Sam. And she literally stops herself from saying Sam, replacing the word with Pathfinder. As Director of Colonial Affairs, she should only know about the Pathfinders, not about Sam. But as the benefactor, she would know about him. And the final trait about trusting Alec is confirmed here too.
You called my father Alec. No one does that. Were you friends, or...?
I'm not your new mother, if that's what you're asking. Or his friend. He hated that I didn't use his title. But no one's a Pathfinder until they've path-found something.
Yeah, that sounds like a red herring. The benefactor always called Alec by his first name, and Addison is no different. She is clearly hiding something, which even continues after our first outpost on Eos.
You proved me wrong, Pathfinder.
I appreciate your candor. We're all on the same side.
I wouldn't go that far.
Again, pretty subtle, but the signs of her being a bad guy are there. She could easily be a member of Cerberus, working on behalf of the Illusive Man. So after all this sleuthing, the conclusion I've reached is that Addison is definitely the Benefactor. Or is she? There's one last thing in the datamind file that gives me pause. It says that the mysterious Benefactor's face will remain hidden in this game and will only hear her voice. However, throughout Mass Effect Andromeda, we're clearly able to see Addison's face, right? Well, there might be one last twist to the truth behind the Benefactor that's connected to Alec's first memory of meeting them. If we listen to the Benefactor's voice, there isn't a large fluctuation in their vocal range, which matches Addison's range as well.
You're out of money. Your contacts have dried up. You can't finish Sam. Your AI is more than a cure for your wife. It could also be the salvation for many others.
Left a perfectly adequate career as a chief officer. Provincial capital, too. Only a new galaxy could pull me away. And here we are, idling.
Besides the hilarious irony of the Benefactor and Addison sharing a similar accent, both their voices not having a large change in vocal tone made my alarm bells go off. Coupled with the datamind line about not seeing the Benefactor's face, it paints a very unhinged theory. What if Foster Addison isn't a real human? She might be an artificial intelligence like EDI, wearing a skin suit like Dr. Eva Corey, which makes sense if we revisit the Cerberus and Benefactor timeline. Cerberus's obsession with AI following the 2180s is very clear. But what were they doing before then? Could they have suddenly developed an AI in the form of EDI by 2185 without any prior AI development? I think it's pretty unlikely. EDI's completion was tied to the Luna VI and Sovereign parts, but that only made her more powerful compared to most other AIs like the Geth. Cerberus could have easily built a much simpler AI before then, during the 2170s, which could have eventually resulted in the faceless and somewhat toneless creation of the Benefactor. Garson did pointedly admit that she never met the Benefactor face to face. Maybe it was out of secrecy, or maybe it's because the Benefactor didn't yet have a body until Cerberus built Dr. Eva Corey in 2185. Which was just in time for the Benefactor to take on the form of Foster Addison and infiltrate the Andromeda Initiative. It's pretty unhinged, but what if it's true? The infamous "my face is tired" line could actually be a clue. Addison's face would be tired if it was simply a skin suit hiding their true face. And maybe, after discarding the form of Foster Addison, we'll get to see the Benefactor's real form in the next Mass Effect. If the Benefactor is actually a secret concocted by the Illusive Man, it certainly wasn't his first. Watch this video next to discover how the Illusive Man gained indoctrination powers by using the Reaper's darkest secret. See you there.